Hello. Can you hear me and see me? Servus. Tirol, Christoph Beer. Is that the one from Tirol? The penguin is here. All good. Guten Abend. Sorry for the delay. Let's get started. Let me talk a little bit about. Let me open that document, even though it's in German. I had a phone call, you wouldn't believe it, almost 3 hours phone call with a follower of mine from Switzerland. And he has been asking me for some, 2-3 weeks now, to call him so I could answer a few questions of his. And we were talking mostly, like 99%, about XRP and a little few things about life in general, like what it will mean to be so rich. So in a bit more dangerous countries, you may want to not tell too many people that you are rich, because your kids or your wife may be kidnapped in order for you to pay money, stuff like that. Hold on, I need to put my phone on sleep mode. Then we were also talking about clean energy, renewable energy in Switzerland, that Swiss government is working on a concept to become kind of like independent of nuclear energy in the next, I think, 20 years or so. And I told that guy on the phone, well, if I'm really making $1 billion, I could imagine giving like 25% to Swiss government, helping those ones trying to get rid of being dependent on electricity produced by someone else, that they can be self-sustainable. And there is an interesting wind producing machine in Germany. Usually the wind energy goes like that and produces a lot of sound and requires a lot of space. That guy in Germany created a cylinder which turns like on its axis, makes no sounds, works at very little wind speed, and is, if I'd say so, quite attractive. And that guy is looking for an investor, and I would really like to support that guy to help his system being installed on more houses, because these wheels turning like these big wheels and horizontal, they're basically not allowed on houses. However, the main point on that discussion with that guy was actually a little bit Shane Ellis theory, and we were closing our phone call roughly by his question, why are you, me, Michael, so sure that my theory, my logic is correct? Then I told him, okay, for one, I cannot be sure that my logic, my conclusions are correct. However, I continued then, whenever I do a research, be it buying a new car or a new machine for our garden or whatever, I usually do quite a good research. I read test reviews on the product I'm trying to buy. I figure out what are the important characteristics of something I want to buy, so that to really make sure that I'm not wasting my money on something which is not worthwhile buying. And my wife can basically confirm that basically all investments we've done in these 4 years we are married now have been really good investments, where basically not one of those investments, even if it was like planning a huge vacation or whatever for like 3 or 4 weeks, everything turned out to be really good in the end. One could conclude that my research around XRP and ILP and stuff will show the same characteristics. Of course, we all know there is no proof of that yet. Of that I'm totally sure. Then I also mentioned my IQ. I don't want to go into that. Don't ask me what it is. It's well above 100. Maybe that's the reason. But then the main point about why I am really so confident in my research is actually the following: that I have been thinking about certain concepts or methods how something may work out, and then either me or someone else, Darren Moore or I Am Legion or whoever else is doing really good research on Twitter, basically proved later on that my thinking wasn't really too bad. And one of these things is the thing about who will be buying XRP at a high price on the other end. Or yes, like, I mean, one bank buys and sends it to the other, but whom will buy it from that bank then when the price is high already? And that is a legitimate question regarding the Shane Ellis theory. I made videos about it where I answered with a kind of generic answer. Market makers and market takers will produce that market. However, whom is a market maker or a market taker, I couldn't really tell. Later on, I don't know how, I came across, I think I mentioned that in a past live stream already around, I think I need to do a research to find that presentation or webcast again, because it's really important to understand how the SWIFT system works. SWIFT system is basically 2 rails. One is the message, which SWIFT is taking care of, and then there is the settlement. And in the settlement, SWIFT is basically not really involved, or wasn't really involved. Maybe with GPI that looks a little bit different. However, the settlement rail, so to speak, was being handled by the banks from the CLS group, Continuous Linked Settlement. And for some reason I had this idea way back when I was challenged regarding that question, who will buy the XRP? And then I have been kind of playing back and forth that idea with with Darren Moore, and he basically kind of agreed that he could think so as well. And the interesting thing is that I think it was even today, and I think it was even Darren Moore. I don't know if he retweeted or answered to a tweet regarding CLS banks, but it was quite a long article from them, basically talking about cryptocurrency in general. And even though I have to read it again in a little bit deeper detail, I think even though Ripple and XRP was not mentioned there, it kind of sounded like they were talking about XRP. So basically what I want to say is, if you have a concept in your mind and later on, even without knowing before, that concept turns out to be correct by doing research either on your own or from others, that's quite gratifying, and that's what gives me this confidence that I think my theories and my logic are quite good. So that was what I had to say. Now to you guys. Crazy cryptocurrency people. Yes, well, 10% would be quite a lot. My wife and me, we will spend, depending on how rich we will get, but once we reach 10 million, then we will spend 10% to friends and family. We have a list of 30 people who will get some money from that 1 million. But if it's more, we may repeat that, I don't know, maybe every year, or in some cases give a higher donation to certain people which, I don't know, may want to buy a house or something. Yes, and one important thing, like partially related to XRP we were talking about, was that crazy cryptocurrency people person which tells you in the chat to give 10% of your winnings away to friends and family. However, there may be people who think you're arrogant, coming and laying 50,000 in cash on the table when you're having a beer with them. So please, before you do that, think about with whom you can do that and with whom you cannot do that, with whom you have to donate that money in a different way. We also have on that list of 30 people about 2 or 3 people where we will put some I don't know, Verpflichtung, maybe a requirement in English terms, meaning we will give the money once they prove they will use it. They will use it for something good and not go to the Copacabana and spend it in 2 weeks. Give anonymously. That would be one solution. Thank you for that tip, Mr. Penguin. CryptoServe, poor guy. Do you want to become my friend? Well, Butterfly Trader, I think maybe those ones not so deep may have lost some confidence in the last 6 months, because I was always telling that by the end of the year. But in a general sense, I still think they're with me. There was a guy asking me about user 77836 exit plan. No, I don't have an exit plan. I take out what I need, but I also talked with Manuel about exit strategy, and he was asking me why I'm so sure that XRP is really the cryptocurrency which will drive ILP. And my answer was basically the answer we know, everyone knows. It's the fastest and the cheapest. And then he asked me, what if another one comes along which is 10 times fast or 100 times faster and 100 times cheaper? Now we're coming back to the exit plan. This you have to watch closely. So once we get rich, my idea is that I will check at least every 3 months on the ongoings in the crypto market to see if there is any new coin with even better characteristics coming up. And if that's to be seen, then I will maybe slowly over the period of maybe 1-2 years move out of XRP and start diversifying with stock or maybe even other cryptos. However, whom says that it'll not be XRP itself? Maybe Joel Katz or David Schwartz or whomever comes up with a brilliant idea to make XRP 100 times cheaper and faster in the next 5 years, and we'll continue with XRP. I mean, in the end, it's just software, and the software can upgrade it if everyone agrees. Dermot Falloon, yes, we have to think about it going to zero. However, that thinking takes up very little space in my brain because I'm pretty sure it won't. Dylan Smart, I think so, yes. Real utility. I think the next big step upwards will most likely be SBI. Could be all those huge crypto funds and other investment vehicles which may go deep into XRP as well. That might give us maybe a new all-time high, a few dollars or so. And I could even imagine the price going up to, I don't know, let's say $20, and like 90% of the hodlers actually sell their XRP. The banks by then, which may be regulated properly so they can hold cryptos, may want to buy XRP and thus make sure that not too many people get freaking rich. That's something I could very well imagine. Bullish on crypto. Well, 1 million per XRP is a little bit much by the end of the year, but who knows, maybe in 5-6 years. Well, DEC 303U, Codius on its own is basically not really related to the XRP ledger. It's basically like a spin-off of the Ripple development team. What Codius is basically a platform for smart contracts, but maybe you meant Cobalt. If it's Cobalt, then basically the speed effects on Cobalt will be, that's just a side effect. The main point about Cobalt is actually make the system more stable. Liam Ivy, I would trade any crypto for XRP, because you know my theory, Shane Ellie's theory, is price could anytime rise pretty high. I gave the example to that guy on the phone before. Let's say you have $10,000, 5,000 in XRP and 1,000 in 5 other coins. Now you make in the next 2-3 months maybe 50-60% with those 5 other coins, and XRP stays quite stable. But then after 3 months XRP shoots 10,000%. So you make 10,000% on your 5,000 investment, and you made 60% on your other 5,000 investment. I want to make 10,000% on a 10,000 investment. That's why I don't diversify. For me, XRP is really the only exception. Yes, Dylan Smart, it was scheduled for March, but it seemed that they had technical issues and it's been delayed until July. Kevin Patterson, I don't quite understand what you want to say. Maybe you want to repeat that without the 4-letter words again, and write it differently so I can understand. And regarding this other crypto which may replace XRP, there is the Who Tells Dermot Falloon says that not always the best format wins. I mean, to Manuel I told in the phone call before that Ripple has basically in the past 3-4 years built the whole ecosystem. Even if there is a faster and cheaper in the transaction costs coin available, it'll take them 2-3 years to get the ecosystem up and running. So don't panic. Even if there will be another coin with similar characteristics in the future, don't panic immediately. It'll take some time. Manuel, the guy on the phone call, is asking over the years if the price of XRP will get minimally higher, and I think it'll get maybe not exponentially but quite dramatically higher. The more banks will hold, the higher the I really see. I think in the past I made a video or maybe it was more a tweet. I don't think I made a video about it, but I think $1 million per XRP might be reasonable, maybe in 10 years from now. I don't know. It's just, I mean, basically there is literally no limit. Ralph Raymond, well, the delay, as they said, was because they had an attack on their system, which is called, I don't remember the word, but it's denial of service. Like too many requests were coming in on their system, but I have really hard reason to believe that this was the reason. I mean, the tech guys should have known that, and as they were working together with Amazon, and I have told that in another video, which is why I don't believe that this was the real reason for the delay. So there may be a different reason, but that's the publicly reported reason, that they had a denial of service attack. Mr. Penguin, well, yes, but I think Cobalt will be this year even. English to me, well, you could, if you're a developer, you could develop an alternative crypto to XRP. Georgiou. The NDA topic is also something I was talking with Manuel on the phone call about. NDAs, for those who do not know, it means basically non-disclosure agreement, which basically states that you cannot talk with anyone outside the company, sometimes even not inside the company, about the stuff going on. That might be one of the reasons why we, or not might, is 100% one of the reasons why we still today do not have 100% proven RippleNet participation of any of the top 20 banks, even though many people assume, but really there is, to me, there is no 100% proof. Yes, Dylan Smart, I think, as I told it to Manuel in the phone call before, that that's what many people don't see. The global economy is like a ball. I mean, money doesn't just flow into one direction, it also flows into the other direction. Sure, we have countries which have higher imports than exports and the other way around, but in total, there will always be that amount of money in the world. And that makes it, that requires that we have liquidity pools all around the world. And that's why I think SBI for the Asian region is so important. Utimuti, how? By withdrawing. I will cash out. Well, regarding now liquidity on both ends, that I basically touched already, that I think that the guys basically buying the XRP from the transaction at the end most likely will be the CLS banks. XRP run, forget about any other coin than XRP. I mean, DTCC using Ethereum, that's like a lame joke to me. With the transaction, with the characteristics of Ethereum, it's a joke. No, I'm not Jack the Rippler, Mr. Penguin, but I'm sharing the same views, very much the same views. How will fractional reserve banking system reconcile with exchanges requiring excess reserves of bridge asset? That's a good question. First, I have to understand the question. I will write that down. I don't know about. I heard the term fractional reserve banking, but why they would need to reconcile with the exchanges? I'm assuming the exchanges are being loaded with XRP from Ripple. And the money, on the other hand, will come from these CLS banks. Ralph Raymond, yes, Coil, I mean, but you have to understand, it's basically in their infancy, and I was talking also with Manuel about that. He was asking me, how do you see the world change through RippleNet or the Internet of Value? And I gave him a few tips or ideas. EMDB.com. There was a film with Tom Cruise about precox. Someone remember the title before I find it? Tom Cruise. It was a film with M, I think. I don't remember the title anymore. Minority Report. In that film, he was walking through a mall and was being bombarded by to him personalized advertising, and that's the way I could imagine our future will change. And then coming back to Coil, yes, I do think they would need to market that concept better. I actually sent already to one or two Swiss, let's still call them newspapers, even though there is not much paper anymore. I forwarded them one of the tweets from Coil when they were basically telling about their use case, but I didn't hear back any. Kevin Patterson discovered your channel by accident. You are the reason. Kevin, well, thank you for your trust. English to me. Well, yes, sure. I mean, that's why we have Xspring, that's why we have Coil, that's why we have this recently announced working together with this gaming platform. I don't remember, something with F Future or something. I don't remember the name. Some of you guys may remember. That's why they basically, I mean, they didn't hire Wind, but at least they gave him money to develop more ideas to be done with XRP. Sure, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's use cases we don't know yet. Kevin Patterson, poor you. My wife is actually pretty good supporting me, and I wouldn't be surprised if she was actually on that live chat. She says hello, my love, to me. Butterfly Trader. Well, the US-China trade war is actually an interesting thing. In one of the, I don't remember where, I think it was Twitter, there was a guy from some US, I don't know, parliament or department, talking in front of a panel why it's stupid to legalize cryptocurrencies, because they want to get rid of the US dollar or circumvent the US dollar. And he basically told that the dollar is basically today one of the let's call it weapons, even though it's not a weapon, but strategic power imposers, if you so want to say, to force other countries to do what US wants. And yes, that's true, but you can be sure that XRP will help those circumstances. And coming back to you, Butterfly Trader, I mean, maybe XRP may not help increase, I mean, the how do you call those costs implied on the Zoll, I forgot the term in English. The trade tax. Is it called trade tax? It's not really a tax. When it's going cross borders, this fee imposed. I don't remember the term in English. Never mind. XRP won't help in that term. But it may. I was thinking, I mean, who can, if China ships to, I don't know, let's say Canada, and from Canada the stuff goes to US, okay, there will be a second time required to put the stuff you receive from China somewhere in a warehouse or something, and then rewrap it maybe and send it on to US. But who knows how how those mechanics are, where they can circumvent those costs. And in that effect, XRP may have an effect because it may make it cheaper to pay for those intermediate steps. Dylan Smart, well, I haven't been following Bearable Guy in the past few days. I have to check. Let me write it down. Check on Bearable Guy 1, 2, 3. Latest hints. I mean, I think he's trying to tell us that soon it'll be kickoff. Toby Yogi, I said that before. I don't think, even though many people believe that we're running into a world crisis, I'm pretty sure the big countries, together with IMF and World Bank, will make sure, and this is a likely scenario I can think of, that they're knowing already now that XRP could be the solution for that liquidity crisis. Minority Report, thank you. Kevin Patterson, I don't follow Sam I Am anymore, since he was so stubbornly holding on to his private XRP ledger theory. Tariff, I don't remember. Trade tariff. Customs, yes. But is the money you pay, is it also called customs? Let me translate Google.com. German, English, import Zoll, import duty, maybe duty custom, I don't know. But I think you all know what I was talking about. English to me could be, but why would they need to loan out XRP? XRP is just a bridge currency. It's not really the idea is not to replace fiat. Dylan Smart, Brad Kimes, actually you're laughing, but today I was re-watching the interview we did a few, I don't know, months back almost. I don't remember when it was. I think it was in November, before I went to Brazil. There is a video with me, but the audio quality is pretty bad. Check it out. Actually, let me check it out YouTube myself, because it should be in my history of YouTube. Then I can tell you I can send you the link. History. Yes. So that's the video, the interview with Brad Kimes I had. I think it was end of January. Let me go back to the question. A duty, maybe. I really don't remember but I think they're calling it tax wars, something between China and US. English to me, no. BTC will never be a standard currency. Never ever. It's just too slow. Mr. Penguin, would I like to do an interview with Bob Way? Actually, no. He's an interesting guy, but I think even him fails to see the impact. He has quite a good knowledge. Besides him, maybe David Schwartz gave as much insider information as he's doing, but no, I wouldn't know what to talk with him about. Vermont's most obese tuba player. As I mentioned before, I think IMF and World Bank are making sure, together with the G20 or so, that we are not running into a world crisis, and I'm almost pretty sure that XRP will have its role there. However, in the SDR issue, I don't think XRP will play any role, because SDR there is no bridge currency required. Maybe by paying out the SDR there it may have an importance, but as Christine Lagarde told, being part of the SDR, a currency needs to be accepted as a general currency within a country, and for sure XRP won't have that. Trade wars, it's called, yes. Do you think, Mr. Penguin, can you elaborate? You mean they kind of reactivated him to kind of soothe the community, something like that? Yes, Shane Ellis theory is required. Otherwise, I think it'll be too complicated, because a bank would always need to figure out, can I send now 5 million? Can I send now 10 million? Can I send now 50 million? Can I now send 100 million transaction? And they basically want the system which works. They don't want to control those transactions anymore. I mean, otherwise they have an additional control sitting on top which checks each transaction. Can I do it with XRP, or does it have to go to Swift rails? That's stupid in my thinking. They will go all in or nothing, and that's why I don't think it'll work without the Shane Ellis here, because the bank would never be sure when or if a payment could go through at the current price. Dylan Smart, I mean, try to survive until we reach a few hundreds or $1,000. It'll change your total life. But I can understand the temptation is high. With Manuel, I spoke about it when he was asking me about price and SBI coming live, and I told him, I think I told it even in this video here, this live stream, maybe when SBI comes live we see a surge to $5, $10, maybe $20, and like 90% of the XRP holders today will be out of the game. They will just sell. They will not see where it can go further. And that's maybe coincidentally the same moment when the banks are getting in, when regulation is being done properly so that banks can actually hold XRP themselves, and then price will skyrocket. He disappeared. Shane Ellis. Raymond Scott, could be. I was really don't know. But do you recommend me reading more on Bob Way? On his... Was it on... I don't even remember. I think XRP chat. I think forum. Well, to be honest, I learned little to nothing new from Bob Way's answers. In his first huge thread, I think it was called I'm Bob Way, I was reading up to page 46 or 47. I'm Bob. Hi, I'm Bob. Let me see how many pages there are now. I think they abandoned that thread, but I basically read everything, and then I went once through all. It stops at 52, so I missed maybe 2 or 3 pages, and then I was once going through just his comments on these, what is it called, club pages, and there I picked a few, but I literally didn't get too much additional insights into what I would like to know about the XRP, about the ecosystem. I mean, technically, don't get me wrong, XRP is technically a stroke of genius, but I really don't care technically how it's working and why it's working that way. I just am 100% sure it's just working fine, and I as an IT person can tell that it's a stroke of genius, even though I do not understand every little bit of it. What I'm trying to understand is the full ecosystem with exchanges, with banks, with ILP, with XRP connect, with ILP connectors and stuff. That's the stuff. But wherever I was trying to get more information on that, I just couldn't get more information on that. T-Spalt, no, he has never been back in touch privately, but I did at the time exchange some private messages with him on Twitter. Unfortunately, I didn't screenshot them, and for some stupid reason I have lost this thread. Maybe it was gone once he deleted his accounts. I really don't remember how it worked. Brandon, correct me, Stronghold announced their first connector to ILP. I don't quite understand your sentence. Are they the first ones to connect to ILP, or what do you want to say there? That's actually something I want to pick up. Well, English to me regarding David Schwartz getting technical. I mean, basically that's the whole point. That whole euphorism for cryptocurrency and blockchain, I think comes mostly out of the IT corner in our world, because basically, in fact, in its core, it's software, and that's why we IT people have and still are so excited about it. And David Schwartz is a freaking intelligent technical person. I think he understands also quite a good portion about the market mechanics, but honestly, maybe not totally in the banking, but yeah, never mind. I don't want to give this argument. However, I think in the beginning it was important also to explain on a technical level the differences between Bitcoin as example and XRP because tech people, they always will question stuff on a technical level. But this, I think, is now, by the time now, well-known knowledge. That's why they could actually go more and tell more about the ecosystem. But there we talked about that before we run into the NDA setup, which basically no one can speak about. Kevin Patterson, I told that in another video. SPQR, they have, together with Sam IM, been quite stubbornly fighting for the private XRP ledger, and since then I don't listen to them anymore. Don't take it personal. Gaurav, I don't think gold will play any role. That's maybe some other new stupid theory coming along. I mean, without even knowing what they're talking about. But when SPQR and Sam IM and those two YouTube channels were the most stubbornly fighting for the private XRP ledger theory, when indeed it was debunked by David Schwartz himself, when they now come up with another theory that XRP will be pegged to gold, I literally say there is no reason to peg to anything. That's the whole point of the bridge currency. That's basically, even David Schwartz stated it when the JP Morgan coin was announced. David Schwartz basically stated any pegged coin will fail. So I really don't believe XRP will be pegged to anything. No, I don't think so. Today is actually going quite good. We're almost an hour, and I'm really sorry again for the delay. I was too long on my stupid, what am I doing here? I was too long on my phone call, on that phone call with this Manuel. And why would gold be pegged to XRP? I mean, that's the same bullshit. Why would you suddenly pay? I don't see the reason to peg anything to anything. This pegging is a stupid concept, and maybe someone wants to make a video or point me out an interesting video why this should be something important to do some more research upon. But as far as I understand today about pegging something to something else, for me it's basically a totally useless concept. Why would you do that? Why not just use that thing you're pegging it to? I mean, totally, I don't see the point. Toretit, exactly. XRP will be exchangeable with anything and everything. basically Light, Ripple are not holding 50% of the, well, it's in escrow, but they cannot themselves alone decide on whom is getting the money from escrow. It's actually the global payment steering group, and for each amount coming out and being distributed out of escrow, it'll require a multi-signature I think 4 or 5 signatures out of those 8 or 10 banks in the global payment steering group are need to be, and they will decide firsthand whom gets the XRP from escrow and at what price. Kevin Patterson, well, that's an interesting question. No, I don't see it playing a role as a reserve currency, but I see if you want, so you could say a global bridge currency is the reserve currency, but I see rather a future where there is no reserve currency required anymore, because we have the universal bridge currency. Why have a reserve currency? What's the concept for there? It's just to exchange money with other, or value with other countries which have other currencies. By using a bridge currency, that concept of reserve currency, I think, will simply die. That's what I believe. Julio Sanchez, well, watch my other movies. First of all, I don't do price predictions, I just think what it requires. I think at 10% Swift we will require, I don't know, somewhere around $5,000, and I think it's possible to achieve that this year. George Escrow is actually released every month 1 billion, and then those banks in this global payment steering group decide together whom gets what amount at which price. So yes, there has been already some allocated, because every month some is released, but I can give you some piece from the 12 billion released last year. I think in total they actually sold, I think it was less than 1 billion throughout the whole year. I think it was somewhere around 700 million or something, if I remember properly. What did I say, Mr. Penguin? Smart, essential even? Toby Yogi, don't bother about escrow and retailers. It won't have an effect at all. Light, I think if we reach about 10% of Swift volume, I think 5,000, it'll be quite a good price for XRP. My wife, oi amorzao. Okay, I think we're done for today. It was very interesting live stream today. I actually, thanks to Manuel, through that quite long, almost 3 hour long phone call, which made me have a delay for about 5 minutes for the live stream today, because I lost completely track of time and we were kind of having dinner at that time. So excuse me to be late, but it helped me, the phone call with Manuel helped me to basically recap a lot of questions which have been thriving in the community throughout the past year. And I really hope that everyone sees that today's live stream was, after all, quite a good live stream. I think there were interesting questions, interesting comments. Thank you for your trust. Tell your friends and family. I may come up with that interview, but we most likely will record it. It will not be live with the guy. It will be in German with the guy from Germany. We will be doing a test tomorrow afternoon, technological test, and if it works out, I will be having an interview with him, and he will talking a little bit about ILP, but it'll be in German. For the other ones not speaking German, take care. Actually, take care to everyone. See you next Tuesday. Have a nice weekend. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.